We're recording.
Oh, we are. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, well, let's call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. This is the Finance and Development Committee meeting for the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey. And we're going to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Kevin Healy.
Present.
Commissioner Hans Buder.
Present.
Okay, that concludes the roll call.
Okay, and item number 3 is comments from the public. Is anyone wishing to speak tonight?
We have one in person.
Oh, great.
Anybody online?
You said you had no one in person or one in person?
No one in person.
Got it. Okay. Well, then we're going to move on to item 4, which is approval of the minutes from our last meeting on January 16th.
Move approval.
Second. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Kevin Healy.
Aye.
Commissioner Hans Buder.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, we're going to move on to new business. Item 5A, Resolution 3103, adoption of a bank account reconciliation policy.
Okay, Mike, we'll be talking about this resolution. So I turn it over to you, Mike.
Yeah, I actually don't have a copy of it. 17 pages. Good book. As a result of our QAD audit that we had that was for the EHV program, VMS reporting, it became clear that the auditors were concerned that we weren't reconciling accounts in the manner that they wanted us to, which was fair. So we are proposing a policy which simply is it's a simple reconciliation steps that would kind of put us in compliance with best practice. And so that really is the content of it. I don't know if you've had a chance to actually look at it and read it, but it will allow us to just stay in compliance with HUD. And as a part of that, we had our employees take training to understand the purpose of a reconciliation. And we also took training on anti-money laundering so that we would be even more aware of the importance of why we do reconciliations and what kinds of things can go wrong if you're not following those procedures. So we would ask you to, if you would approve this.
Let me just add a little something to what Mike is saying. HECM has always performed bank reconciliations in the appropriate manner as it relates to HUD rules and regulations in GASB and general GAAP accounting. The EHV was a special program created for HUD in which they had different regulations on that program. Because it had to have a particular GL, it had certain funding that other programs didn't have, like placement fees, service fees, things like that. So it had a lot of special conditions. And so even though the bank reconciliation generally was correct, they wanted us to separate out more the EHV program. Because I just don't want you to think like the bank recs are not correct. It was just this specific program because of the special designation of funds that HUD put toward it in the particular guidelines that they wanted to be accounted for.
And going forward, our cash account will have accounts that separate the Section 8 as Zulika had instruction. We'll have the voucher program will have its own set of bank accounts. The money that's in mainstream will be in its own bank account. as well as the EH fee will be in their own accounts. So much easier to see where the pieces are, much easier to reconcile, and put us in a much stronger position.
Yes.
That's a helpful clarification. Thank you, Zulika.
Yeah, because I got to reading and I said, oh, wait a minute, this makes it seem like we're not doing it. No, just EHV.
And did you have any other questions or comments on this one?
No, that's it. Like I say, the team, they have been doing good with the bank reconciliation. It's just when HUD have these special programs, you have to be careful to read those PIH notices because they come with different rules based on the funding. And everybody doesn't know this, but EHV had, I think, 4 or 5 different pots of money that you had to spend. So it was just certain criteria that had to be met. But that's it, unless, you know, if you guys have any questions.
No. Kevin, no.
No questions. Move approval resolution 3103.
I second that. Roll, please.
Commissioner Kevin Healy
Yes.
and Commissioner Hans Buder.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. This next one, it looks like it's information only. And it's the schedule for submission of the annual plan.
Yeah, we wanted to go ahead and give you the schedule. We kind of pushed it up a little bit. We want to submit earlier this year and get a board more time to actually review the plan in its entirety.
Hmm.
We have to send the plan out, I think it's to the county or the city, so when we have the draft ready for them, at the same time, the board would get what's in the final draft. So that if you want any changes or we need to flush out and discuss things, we have ample time to do it and still be on time with the submission. The public hearing is normally always in person, but this year we're gonna have probably a hybrid hearing to try to encourage more people to participate.
My only comment was just looking at this, you know, I think the meeting with the resident advisory board is scheduled a day before the draft is submitted to this committee. And so I was wondering if maybe trying to give yourself a little bit more time in between in case you got some feedback to incorporate. But that's the only thing I have for you.
Yeah, Lucila, she kind of stay in contact with them the whole time. That's just the official day.
Right.
But if we do have to make any changes, I will make sure and let the board know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she starts engaging them early so that she can kind of have it ready. Because we still have to wait too, again, when we have a public hearing in case we have more comments, and that's on the 21st.
Okay. Kevin, do you have any questions or comments on this one?
I do not, Hans. Thank you.
Okay. Well, there's no action on this one, so thank you for sharing that with us. We're gonna move on to item 6, which is information items, basically our reports, and we're gonna start with item 6A, the finance report.
All right, thank you very much. It's good to be with you and to share with you results for the period December 23. Kim's here with me today, and I'll just speak for her since I don't think she has her sheet of paper in front of her. But we always start off with audits, and you can see that we've had some success.
I'm sorry, Mike, I just want to insert one other thing. For the Meacham 2021 audit, it says completed. That doesn't mean that the audit itself is fully accepted and completed. That just means the finance has finished their part because that audit is still open. But it's completed as far as what finance had to do here at Health. That's it.
Thank you. We had Hackam 22 is completed, King City 22 completed. Again, as Zulika says, these are our efforts from our side. Tie-in 22 completed. One Parkside completed. Hackam 23 is in progress. And the FLC for 23 and PDM 23 completed. significant work and progress, and congratulations, Kim, thank you very much. We completed in December our normal quarterly reporting to the investors, and that went smoothly. And the reason that's of note is that, again, we are working with BDO as our support group, and we were able to get the reporting done from internal and external sources, pretty much without any issues at all. Again, I'm sort of repeating some items you've heard before, but of importance, Zulika gave us the approval to go ahead and purchase a tool called Smartsheet Calendar function, which we'll be getting training here in the next couple of days and weeks. And what this is a tool that we can use to different teams within the organization can use it to track and project manage their progress and their targets for what they want to accomplish, and then it would be visible to other members of the team, can be shared visually or restricted depending on how we want to do it. But it should give Zulika the ability to see what her direct reports and others are doing without having to literally quiz them. It would be there for her kind of free of charge, which I think is free information is always good. Then beyond that, Rent Cafe, we're working with the other side of the business so that we can handle the cash for the new tool that Rent Cafe offers for us. And then as a part of the Rent Cafe suite, PayScan, which is the implementation, moving towards more paperless accounts payable, which is going to be great. So those are both kind of exciting and moving along concurrently. Again, we never-ending banking process. As a part of our audit response, we had to prove to HUD that we had our key accounts in banks and that provided collateralization and interest, and were interest bearing. That is now true with Mechanics Bank, our key bank. We'll have to expand that list and then resubmit the same form as they bring all of the accounts into alignment with the rules. But we have the vast amount of the money involved is now in the proper setting. We've been having a continued push with procurement. It's a big deal because HACM has not always followed creating purchase orders for the items that they really should. And so we've really kind of put down the hammer where people are now required to submit purchase orders, making requests for purchase orders. That then feeds the accounts payable process so that when we pay an invoice, it's been matched up with the appropriate approving PO, and that just makes the whole process smooth. As far as financial performance, December was a good month. In the HACM side of the business, our revenue was about $1.2 million favorable to budget, which is indicative of the continuing progress in our voucher placements. So we're seeing the money increase because of that. And year to date, we're at about 6.9 favorable to our budget, which is, I think, pretty outstanding. As far as expenses, of course, they arise when you have more vouchers, you get more revenue, and therefore you have to spend more money. Our December bottom line was basically break even with our year-to-date surplus for HACM at $2.5 million, or about $2.8 million favorable to budget. For HTC, our revenue continues to be below budget. We're anticipating that we'll see some of these funds catching up later. Sort of a bit of a timing issue. Year-to-date revenue is about $1.5 million unfavorable. Our monthly operating expenses basically they're basically at budget at about 2.23 million. Year-to-date operating expenses are around $1 million, and we're about $250,000 favorable to budget. lower spending, lower revenues. When you look at the total entity bottom line, we are 0.5 million positive for the combined entities. And our budget was 150,000, so we're favorable $350,000 in December. And year to date, our entity surplus is 2.5 million positive. The budget was $1 million, so we're at 1.5 million to the good. That's a good report, certainly better than last year. Do I have any questions?
Kevin, any questions on this?
No questions. Thank you very much, Mike and Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I know that this is it's the report. You guys, the last time we talked last month in the full board meeting, you mentioned you're working on an updated format for the report. I think I probably just have the same comment, which may not be super important if you guys are still working on that, but I think it would be helpful to have some of the color behind the numbers. Yeah, I think I mentioned last time that I'm on the board of another nonprofit where there's basically sort of a one-page narrative that walks through, this is a page as well, but I just get more context as a board member from the document. It's not just, hey, we went up by $200,000 or we were below budget by $200,000, but it gives a little bit more insight into why, which as a board member I think is helpful. So I know you guys are working on something, so I think that's fine. We'll wait for the updated product. I mentioned that I was going to get you a copy of that as sort of a template, and I just dashed off an email to get permission to do so. So that's my only comment on this, but I appreciate the report. And yeah, Kevin, if you have no other comments, I guess we can move on to the next item, which is 6B, property management report.
Ricardo?
That we're going first, I'm sorry. Good evening, this is Ricardo Calderon for property management. And we set out to, in the month of January, to fulfill 6 goals, which we did. We submitted an application for the PDM program to change from health to human services. We submitted file audit requests for RAD and the FLC sites. Also for property management, we completed the repairs to the playground at the Canson cleaning site that has been completed once parts came in. Property management also, we completed and submitted the welfare exemptions that needed to be submitted. We also completed the rate increase notifications to the residents at Castroville, Salinas, and Chula FLC sites. Also, for the PDM rehab, we completed the RFP, and we're now accepting the bids, and they're coming in, and we're going to be going through and processing. That's all I got.
You have any questions or comments on this one?
No questions, no comments. Thank you, Ricardo.
Okay, I had none either. Let's move on to item 6C, which is the development report.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Just a few updates. All the information pertinent to development is in the report, but some highlights. The development staff was able to submit the place and service package to QCAC. So now we're just awaiting a response from them. Once we get that response, we can submit our official request for 8609s to be issued. Upon the 8609 being issued, we'll move on to request our final capital contribution from our investor. So that's in the pipeline, and it should be resolved here in a matter of weeks. Zalika continues to work with a potential plan for potential developers to assist us with our projects that we have in our pipeline. There's a few that we're looking at, and she'll have more details to come in. I'm sure she'll be sharing details at the strategic planning session that you have planned. As of 12/15, which is last week, Hackam Property Management has taken over property management functions at Ripley River. So this is the first week that it's now fully transitioned. So far, so good. And my last highlight is the Tiny Village construction defect work. That's coming to a close here. The rains have pushed it out a little bit further than we had anticipated. Our new updated deadline is March 4th, depending on the weather. We did have a few issues during the rains, but they have been resolved or are being addressed. So our tentative completion date, as indicated, is March 4th, which is roughly about 2 weeks out. And that's really it, unless you have any questions.
I don't have any questions on this one. Kevin, any questions on this one?
No questions. Thank you, Nora.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a chance to get into this a little bit more at the retreat, which will be great. Okay, well, I think that sort of concludes item 6, and so we'll move on to commissioner comments. Kevin, any comments?
Hans, I would just reiterate my enthusiasm about the upcoming retreat. I think it's, as we've talked about before, it's long overdue, and I'm excited about the deep dive that we're going to be able to have on a myriad of topics. So I'm looking forward to that very much. And then my thanks to Zalika and to Mike and Kim and Ricardo and Nora and Gabby for organizing the meeting, and yourself. Other than that, no additional comments.
Yeah, I think I'd echo that. I wanted to thank Gabby and Zalika for their help organizing the retreats, and Gabby especially for continuing to bother me as I was late in getting information back on food, etc. So thanks for their patience there and for making all the trains run on time. I'm super excited about the retreat. I think it's, like you said, long overdue. I've been doing this for, gosh, it's coming on 4 years now, and the idea that we haven't had one is kind of wild. And we had COVID in there, but it'll be a great opportunity for us to step back and think a little bit more strategically, which will be great. So looking forward to that this weekend. And with that, we're going to adjourn the meeting here at 5:23 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
That is the fastest finance committee meeting that I've ever